Rapids. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good morning and welcome to Saratoga today for Sunday, August 11th, right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along with the author of the Del Mar Power Picks. He's switching tacks. He's coming out east today. Also, of course, co-host of Bettin' and Boozin', Mr. Noah Maher. Noah, how you doing this morning? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Doing well. Get to switch it up today. Get a little bit of a culture change. I got asked to do the picks, and I was happy to do them. And I was very fortunate because we didn't know what was going to happen with weather or whatnot. So I was very fortunate to be able to cover two Grade 1 races that we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, big time card. A lot of things to talk about. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button in the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Smash the like button as well. And in the top right-hand corner on YouTube, hit the notification bell so that you know when new content arises. You can, of course, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Tip sheet information below the video player. Go to our website, also hhhracingpodcast.com, for more information about that. All right, now let's take care of a few particulars at Saratoga. Actually, before we do that, first of all, got to represent UK with you on the show here.
Love it.
Sort of a sad day for me. I'm going back to full-time work tomorrow. School's beginning. My students come Thursday. We have meetings the next 3 days, which are always a lot of fun. I know you've got school starting, in 2 weeks, I believe. And I think this upcoming week's the last week of your internship. No, for people that are that watch Saratoga today and are not too familiar with you, tell everyone what you've been doing mainly this summer.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to intern for Resolute Racing and John Stewart. John Stewart's kind of gotten his name in the industry. He started back in September, bought a farm out in Midway, and has been purchasing a lot of broodmare prospects, and he's gotten into the 2-year-old and yearling sales. They were just up in Saratoga on Monday and Tuesday, and I think they bought like $7 million worth of prospects. So just a crazy number of purchases. And it's been awesome to get to experience something like that. Just because as racing fans, I was a racing fan before I even, wanted to pursue this as a career. So just to see all the cool stuff on the backside and get to work with the horses and get to work with all the people behind the operation, it's been truly special. Based
on their sales prices, I think you should knock on Mr. Stewart's door and say, you can give me a little end of the summer, little bump up there. I think he can afford it, Noah. Yeah. But anyway, pretty cool. Saratoga today. Lots going on. First of all, I sent out, for those of you that subscribe to our Saratoga Power Picks, I said there's no late pick 4 or pick 5 with the 2 Grade 1s. That's true and not true. They added, just like yesterday, Saratoga has added a very late pick 4 and pick 5 the last 4 and 5 races. And I'm just showing, this is Twin Spires right now. And I think people can probably see there, if you look carefully at the second one down, it says added pick 4, pick 5. So it's actually a separate track, Noah, similar to yesterday. So we're focusing today on races 5 and 9 this morning, 5 through 9, because that is the main pick 5. There is a special pick 5 also that ends with the 2 Grade 1s and a late and a special pick 4. So we'll briefly talk about the Grade 1s. Pete and Paul talked about them specifically in episode 366 Thursday night. So if you want to see detailed intel on that, watch the show from Thursday night, Picks and Ponies, where Pete and Paul talked about that. All right, let's see who's here today, Noah, in the chat, and then we're going to get on to it. First of all, Mark Bogas is here. Sunday spa action. Sounds relaxing. Let's all catch some tickets today. Absolutely. Of course, Katie's here. Let's pick some winners. We're going to try to do that. Keith is here. What's up, Keith? Let's crush some bets today. I love the enthusiasm from our viewers. We've got Raymond is here, of course. Nooney. Yeah, Nooney was pretty good yesterday at Del Mar. I'm feeling Nooney is going to be Breeders' Cup juvenile filly bound in about 2.5 months. We'll see. Our good buddy, Brad Anderson. Good morning, Howard, Noah. Turn a turf race on the East Coast. Yippee. Do we change Noah's nickname to East Coast Bias? Ooh, I'm not sure we're going to go that far right now.
Yeah, no, I told him just today. We'll make an exception.
All right, just today. Very cool. And Gary Rice, what's up, Gary? Good morning, gents. Again, thanks for joining the show. Please make sure if you want to join the chat, you need to go on to YouTube. But we're happy, of course, to have many people following us on X. All right, let me take the banner off the screen. Let's rock and roll. We're going to start in race 5. Noah, race 5 is the start of the, let's just say the main pick 5, the pick 5 that the traditional pick 5. I don't know what to call it exactly. But, when you look at your program and you see pick 5, it starts with race 5. Now, Noah, this race, I got strong opinions on. This is an absolute cluster. It's maiden 40 New York breds. Of course, they are on the turf. The turf is listed as good, which is fantastic. Mile and a 16th. It's on the inner. Rails are out 18 feet. I want to mention that. That might help speed a little bit. It's a huge field. The AEs are scratched. It's a field of 10 with the Moorline favor, the number 8, Katani, for Nevin and Pratt. Let me go ahead and bring up our picks on the screen here, Noah, and we need to talk about this horse because all roads lead through this horse, and we are both tossing the favorite. I'm going 2, 8, 10. You're going 10, 8, 9. You're going to go with Mazai, I believe it's pronounced, for Jimmy Bond, 007, and Joel Rosario stretching up. It's got the pedigree to do it.
Yeah, I did see that. I don't necessarily think the distance should be a concern, and he's also just dropping into a group that's definitely not as tough as the ones that he's been facing. First time out, he ran fine, and the last two he just hasn't really seemed to get back to that. So I think 007 is just kind of finding a more reasonable spot for him. And I think with the stretch out, there's not really a ton of speed. And with the fact that maybe there's a little moisture in the ground as well as having the rails out, I think Rosario can just kind of get to the lead and maybe take him the whole way. It's not a strong opinion, but this is not a great group. So I don't think a wire-to-wire fashion is out of this realm.
Yep. Love this pick. And actually, you know what I did? I'm looking at my notes and I just realized I wrote these in numeric order, not actually the order that I wanted to. So let me change this right now. You might like what I have to see here. I actually was I actually was 10 to 8. I apologize to everyone. I wrote in numeric order. I don't know why I did that. I completely agree with you. I don't know if this horse can get the distance, but he's bred to get the distance. The Damn Way Smart was, did sprint, but did fine routing, not a superstar. Obviously, we know Tisway was 2 turns. The blinkers off is a little bit weird to me, Noah. I don't think that means that Rosario is going to be rating. I just think it means they're trying to relax the horse, which that might sound like I'm being hypocritical, but I still think they're sending. I just think they want this horse to get the distance better, which to me might mean blinkers off. I don't know. This horse needs to be on the lead, though, I think, to win this race. I just don't see this horse rating and winning unless the blinks off has completely changed him.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. It would make sense just because he looks like he struggled a little bit. So you're trying to mess around with equipment and get him to relax. And like I said, this is not a very good group. And if he does find himself on the lead, he could very well get brave because it doesn't really look like there's a ton. Maybe the 8 would be one, even though he's really run only one number and it was at 36 to 1. Maybe he could somehow get back to that and match that 64 buyer.
I looked at some stats for number 8 Katani, and I'm dubious. Noah. I'll let you talk about this horse first. Obviously ran very well, or did he? I'll talk about that in a minute. In October, where has he been, Noah? I mean, where has this horse been, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got a horse that's in this maiden 40 level, and they haven't run since October, which is always a little bit concerning. And then you made a little point about the race last time. It was I thought it was kind of a strangely run race. He was sitting a pretty good trip. They went almost 23 for the first quarter, but then they didn't go. They went over 49 seconds for the half. So it's just kind of a strangely run race, a really weird kind of maiden 40 that they ran in the fall. over at Belmont at Aqueduct, and he's the 5 in the race. He's kind of down on the inside, saving ground, and the rails were out. So I don't know. I guess he could run back to that, but off of that long layoff, I think definitely one you should consider to play against.
Yeah, he got an absolute dream trip. I mean, you're not going to get a better trip than he got, especially with the rails out and on the, at Belmont at Aqueduct. And he ran well against the favorite. He didn't get the job done. I have a few negatives with this horse. We see the gallop out there. My negatives here. Let me go. I wanted to go back to. Hold on one second. I wanted to go back to the PPs. My negatives are, like you said, he was 30, he was 36-1, number one. Number two, he's coming off a long layoff. Michelle Nevin, 9 to 12 month layoff. Last 5 years, Noah, 3 for 27. Not real good. And you know what I also found weird, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Michelle Nevin has only asked for the services of Flavien 3 times in the last 5 years, and he's over 3. So I don't know what to do with that stat. I'll let you expound, and then we'll move on. The fact that Pratt's only ridden for Nevin 3 times last 5 years, but is on this one today, good or bad, indifferent? I mean, he's riding great. I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little biased. I've always been a big fan of Pratt, and like you said, he's riding really well. So when you can pick up a jockey of that high quality, it's always a good sign. Pratt's, from what I've experienced, Pratt's normally not somebody that would ride for maybe a smaller barn like Michelle Nevin.
Yeah.
But in races like this, you don't see some of these bigger names, these bigger name trainers a lot. You don't really see the Chad Browns or the Pletchers, so I think that might be why Pratt's only ridden for Nevin only a few times over the last couple of years.
Okay, fair enough. I just don't know what to do with this horse. I'm gonna use him, and I'm gonna try to beat him. And if people say I'm gonna toss this horse, I would completely get that too. I just want to quickly mention Judge Rules, who is my second pick. This horse has been wide every single time his last 3. No, I think that's worth mentioning. He's no superstar, but he is going to get a better trip today because he's breaking from the 2 hole. And I think, in this kind of field, if you don't like the 8, I mean, you got to throw a bunch in there. So I think Judge Rules will get a more ground saving trip from the inside. Let's go on to race 7. Now, race 7, I know we talked about this race a few days ago as you were going through it, or race 6, race 6. This is one of these 2-year-old races. No, they're just really exciting to look at because you've got some serious pedigree here. 7 furlongs. There was a race run yesterday for the boys. This is the race that I run for the girls. They're stretching out to 7 for 2-year-old. Like I said, fillies, field of 8. You got to look at the board. Moorline favorite is the number 4 trading strategy for Chad and Flavien. I'm going 6-4-7. You're going 5-4-6. We are completely guessing here, but you're going with Mott and Alvarado. Did you happen to talk to our good friend Paul on this pick, Noah?
No, but I think he would approve. Yeah, I ended up going with the 5 in here. A little bit of in Mott, I trust. He's done really well over the meet so far. The Dam Into Chocolate was a very good sprinter. She won the Chillingworth in her second to final start, and then she hasn't. This actually is the first foal out of Into Chocolate, so it'll be interesting to see how this one does. Constitution, I don't think the 7 should be too much of a problem. No. I understand maybe some of these horses might be a little more better suited for distance than this one, but I think this one's live. You definitely have to watch the board. I think that the Chads probably will take a decent amount of money, so I would probably assume 3rd choice in this field.
Yeah, I think so. And because school's starting, I'm going to have to give you a demerit or detention for the double negative, the more, or the double positive, the more better that you just threw out there. But anyway, I'm just giving you crap. I know it's early for you. Rumor has it you might have had a little bit of a later night last night. Look, Table Flirt's got B workouts, really good, solid. Excuse me. And Mott has a knack with these fillies. For some reason, he's better with the juvenile fillies than he is with the boys. And Table Flirt could very well be live. We'll have to see what the board looks like. I'm going with Quick Kick, a $550,000 buy, trained by Amos. This is a filly by McKinsey, first crop sire out of a Graham Hall mare, Graham 6. And Graham 6 was a very, very nice sprinter and fast, as you can see. And the siblings, take a look at the siblings of Graham 6. First time starters, 30%, 3 for 10. 2-year-olds, 25%. And this horse had some runners. I'm sure you've heard of some of these horses. How about Seymour Dean? You might not be familiar with this horse, but this horse was a really good horse for Linda, as you can see there. Cali Star was a nice horse for Mary Wolfson. Delightful Joy. I mean, there's just stake horses after stake horses here in the pedigree, and I'm not sure how the McKinseys are going to pan out, but it's Dylan. This horse is working really well. I'm assuming the distance is going to be fine. I'm just taking a guess with Quick Kick. You've got that 1/3. You want to quickly talk about trading strategy for Chad, another expensive purchase, $500,000.
Yeah, she's one that doesn't have maybe as much breeding as some of the others on the dam side. Dothraki C was a decent horse, maybe a little bit longer and maybe not as talented, but this might be, it kind of gives off the vibe of the Chance McPatrick, the race that we saw, where I think if a couple of these kind of duel each other into submission and can't get 7, I think this might be the one that'll be running late.
You know that horse on the top there? This is a to McVeigh, a horse out west, a talented horse for Sheriffs, right?
Yeah, it took him a while to break his maiden, but Sheriffs does this with some of his horses that he likes, some of his younger prospects. He'll throw them in graded stakes races even as a maiden. So he ran him in some really nice races. I think he butted heads with Nisos either once or twice, and then once they dropped him down, he actually broke his maiden very impressively. So he's one that's he's an okay 3-year-old out there.
Let me ask you a quick question. We're going to move on because you spent a lot of time studying pedigrees this summer with Resolute. Let's transfer that to wagering. I think this is a really good topic for people listening and watching. When you see in the PPs talented horses that are coming out of first crop sires, are you a little more resident or hesitant to bet those horses? Do you think those horses might be bigger prices and therefore you like betting them because of the unknown? What do we do as handicappers, Noah, with horses that are, a progeny of first crop sires?
Yeah, I don't think you can let it persuade you too much. You could always go back to the fact that, if you're not a first crop sire, you have, I'm going to get a little statistic here, but you have more of a bigger sample size. So there's more to go off of. The bigger the sample size, the better chance you have to have very good siblings and good bloodlines. So even though those first crops aren't proven, I think you're thinking. I'm thinking similarly with the 6 Quick Kick, who, even though McKinsey's only had 10 or 12 runners, they've done really well. And it's not that they're only just winning, but they're running in the money as well. So I think that's very promising.
Yeah, I love watching these races. Sometimes betting these races are not easy, but I love watching them. Let's go on to race 7. Race 7 right here is a 12-5 claimer going 6.5, $35,000 the purse. There's 2 scratches. Number 4 Rider Special ran on Wednesday, and Linda's not running that quickly back. And the number 8 Bronx Bomber. The Moorline favorite was Rider Special. I guess we can now say the Moorline favors the number 6 Beach Boy Al for Englehart and Davis. Let's go ahead and bring up our picks. And we are thinking very similarly here, Noah. In fact, I like this horse quite a bit. I am going 7-6-2. You're also going with the 7. You're going 7-9-6. Mr. JT, which sounds a little bit like a name that I know from a little old school TV. And I got a little video I want to show in a little bit, but let's actually, you know what? Let's do this. No, let me take this off the screen for a second here. Are you familiar with the 1980s, 1990s TV character Mr. T? Not Mr. JT, but Mr. T.
No.
Now everyone at home is like, how does he not know Mr. T?
Laugh it up.
that's because I'm old and Noah's born in like 2001 or 2 or whatever the hell it was.
4,
3, 4, whatever it was. look, Mr. T. Now he might look familiar to you when I show. Mr. T was a really popular TV character. He was also in some of the Rocky movies, Noah. In fact, when I show him, you might be like, oh, I think I know this guy. And the reason why I want to show this video is because number 7, I know the name is Mr. JT, but it's very close to Mr. T. And, Noah, sometimes in life we struggle with things that are not related to the track. Sometimes we do struggle with things that are related to racing, pick 4s, pick 5s, whatever. And sometimes we feel like giving up. But I've got a little message for you for everyone out there from Mr. T himself. Let me go ahead and bring this up on the screen. You'll appreciate it. Trust me here. So let me go ahead and bring this on the screen as I found this. Hold on one second. I'm going to bring it on. Let's do this. Hopefully the sound's going to work fine. You know this guy, Noah? Does this guy look familiar? This is a little 30-second piece of advice from my good old friend, Mr. T.
Listen up, people. This is Mr. T talking to you. Ever feel like giving up on something? Like it's the only way to solve a problem? Well, most times, quitting only makes things worse. Knowing when not to quit, that's always harder than throwing in the towel. Don't assume you can't handle a tough situation. You don't know that until you try. But you can't solve your problems by running away from them. That just makes things worse. Not just for you, but for everybody around you. And that's a tip to you from me, Mr. T. So
there we go. I pitied a fool. It's Mr. T. Now, Noah, do you know that guy? You heard that guy?
I think I've seen him. I mean, that haircut is hard to miss. So I think I've recognized that guy.
Let me tell you something. That guy was seriously popular, especially among like teenagers and whatnot, back in the 80s and 90s. And he was on a lot of famous TV shows and whatnot. Let's see here. We've got Marco's like Noah's cringing already. Noah didn't know what was coming. Mark Bogas, Howard, the motivator. Look, when things don't go well, you gotta keep fighting. You gotta keep betting, right? From Jim Plars, the only one scarier than Mr. T is my wife, Mrs. C. Oh, Jim. All right. Anyway, we've completely gone off the rails. There he is again. All right. Let me take him off the screen. Mr. JT, what do you like about the 7, Noah?
Other than that video that we just watched, if you're a subscriber to the Power Picks, Mr. JT is one that you'll read about. I talked a little bit about how the 4 for Linda might scratch, and that did end up happening, which I think there wasn't a ton of speed to begin with. And with the 4 coming out, there's really not a ton. Mr. JT, even though he hasn't really done super well as of late down at Monmouth, he's getting back to New York where he's familiar. He's getting back to the Atras barn. Atras claimed him a couple starts back for 32 and then ran him and protected him. He ran well against a horse named Print Track who came back and won. And even though he hasn't done very well, he's getting back to what he's comfortable with. And Irad hopping aboard always helps. So,
yep, I like this horse quite a bit. For all the reasons you said, I have really nothing to add. Michael Austin, by the way, is going to give you a little crap. Michael was born in 2001, and he knows who Mr. T is. Come on, Gen Z. Got to step up your game. And, of course, the show that he was on, the TV show, go look it up, Noah. It's called The A-Team. It was goofy. It was weird. They were like a crime-saving group of people, but it was hilarious, and it was fun. Check out The A-Team. You'll laugh. Anyone who's my generation, a little bit younger, knows Mr. T very well. We're both adding the 6 in there also. Beach Boy, Al. The extra distance, I think, is going to help this one, Noah.
Yeah, it could. I didn't know with this one. It's a little weird because he's avoided claim off of Englehart where he was 5-2 and didn't run very well. But he's been training okay. He's actually been training down at Finger Lakes, and Englehart brings him back. It looks like it projects him to be in last, which I don't necessarily feel comfortable taking him if he's going to be in that spot, especially now. I think he'll probably be the favorite. He was 7-2 Morning Line, I think, was the second choice. Yeah. Now that the 4 is out. But I think as long as Dylan has him a little bit closer, I think that'll give him much more of a chance with that cold pace. Yeah,
it's a good race. We both like not Mr. T, but Mr. JT. Of course, his favorite line from Michael Lawson, "I pity the fool." That's what he would say a lot. So I know people at home are actually looking like, is Howard on drugs this morning? No, I'm all good. It's Mr. T gets me fired up. I love seeing Mr. T again. Look at Keith. Look at Keith. After the motivation of Mr. T, I just added more cash to my account. Time to fire. See, we're motivating people of America early here on a Sunday morning. All right, let's get to race 8, the Mahoney. Now, this race is on turf. This is a really good race. It's a stake. Let me go ahead and bring up our picks on the screen. I'm going 3-7-2. You are going 1-7-8. I know you are a big fan, pun intended, of fandom. 7-2 morning line. The morning line favorite is the number 7, Mansa Musa for Mott and Alvarado. Talk about fandom as your top choice, Noah.
Yeah, I thought in the quick call, I thought after the break and he got shuffled back to last. After the first furlong, I thought he was kind of done. He did make a little run after that. Maybe it wasn't as good as some people had hoped. But I just think, with a better start, Brad Cox adds the blinkers, and Jose was supposed to ride, but I believe he's riding at Colonial today. So Dylan hops on, but honestly, with the way Dylan's riding, that's fine. I think fandom was the 3 in that race. So he got
right. He's in the yellow in between. Mansa Musa is the 5, and then American Rascals also in this race is the 7. So the 3 is like Phantom's in between here. He didn't check, but I mean, when you're already spotting the field, what is this, 7 lengths, and what you're spotting, 5 to Mansa Musa, that's a problem.
Yeah, and the heavy favorite in there was Star Mystery, who was a couple lengths ahead of him, which I think if he had any chance to win that race, he had to be in front of the favorite. So at that point, he was kind of behind the 8 ball and swings out wide and comes with a run. Him and American Rascal are kind of moving as a team. He ran fine. He galloped out okay. I just think with a better start, Dylan will have him probably a little bit closer, and the blinkers will get him to break better and to be a little closer. And also he's got the win at Keeneland over that good turf course. So he's got that kind of in his belt.
No one was getting the Star Mystery. Here's Mansa Musa. And then, this is not much of a difference here. And Mansa Musa, who's the 7, got a perfect trip in this race. Absolutely perfect trip. So I think it's a very interesting race, and it's an interesting pick. I don't know what to do about the rail, but he is second off the layoff, and they're putting blinks on, and Dylan is riding very well, so I'm not sure it's too much of a negative off of Jose Ortiz, really.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's really too much of a concern. It's not gonna sway me from liking fandom, just because I think that the trip could set up pretty well for him. I do think there are some fresher faces that are interesting. I know I have Mansa Musa in second, but I think the 8 was one that I found very interesting. Joseph Lee was a horse. I think we were playing a ticket with our good friend Patrick Kunzel, and Joseph Lee was a trainer that stuffed us in the locker. I think it was like the 8 horse that won at like 22 or 25 to 1. But this horse just seems to be getting better. I know the last race got taken off, but ever since they've come back in the spring and over the summer, the horse seems to be getting better. And Pratt hops aboard. Just one of those fresh faces that I think you're looking for, that I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, works for me. Look, it's a big step. You didn't know to expect this to happen this morning. Look at my students. They can't wait to see me and get all these bad jokes. Major step up in class for this horse, but I do like Pratt, obviously, and I like the outside post. You taught some fresh faces. No, you played soccer, right, in high school, correct?
Nope.
Oh, you didn't play soccer. You played football, and you played every other sport. Sorry. Golf and football and whatever. I was going to ask you if you ever got a yellow card, but obviously that's a stupid question. Now, yellow card. I have no idea if this horse is good enough, to be very honest, Noah, but I have a lot of respect for Michael McCarthy. I think he's really good. And for them to ship here exudes confidence. Ran really well last time. I know this is a major step up. Gets a good trip here with IRAD, although the IRAD tax I'm going to have to pay. But I'm just curious to see what this horse can do. It's not my favorite top choice ever. And another horse that, look, I mean, you knew I was going to mention this horse because not only is it one of the best first names in the history of names, but of course, I love the show that the character Howard Wolowitz was in. This horse is talented. I watched that replay. I know it's 5 at Gulfstream. I get all that, Noah, but this horse is working very well by the reports. He's quick. If he can outbreak Fandom, which I think he probably will, and at least get to the rail, I don't know. Crazier things have happened. My just general feeling, though, in this race is I'm a little bit against Mansa Musa. I'm using him, obviously. He might even be an A, but I just don't see him running back to that last race where he got a dream trip, and it's a huge number. If he runs that race, he wins. But if he doesn't, a lot of horses can win here, right?
Yeah, no, I like the thinking. I think Howard Wolowitz is one that I would upgrade now with the scratch of No Name Mets, because I think those two were probably the pace setters in here. I mean, Howard Wolowitz is a very fast horse, and like you said, working very well. I'm just always a little skeptical of those synthetic races. But I mean, if he gets to the lead and nobody really pressures him, it really wouldn't surprise me if he took him all the way at 7 or 8 to 1.
It's fair. I know a lot of people feel the same way you do about synthetic races, and but this horse, look at this. No, I did it like in hand, and just was cruising. So I don't know. I'm going a little bit off the reservation with my picks here in this race. I really don't have strong opinions. It's a turf sprint, so my general opinions of turf sprints. Let's go to the last race of let's just say the main pick 5, and then we'll very, very briefly talk about the grade 1s. Again, if you want more information about the grade 1s, go to episode 366 where Pete and Paul on Picks and Ponies talked about it exclusively. Race 9, which ends the regular pick 5 and is like leg 3 of the special pick 5, is $25,000 claimer, 7 furlongs, a big field of 10 with a morning line favorite, the number 10, That's Money, for Pletcher and Franco. Let's see if we're going with that horse. No, we are not. And people are like, is this a typo from Howard? No typo. I'm going 195. Wow, we are thinking alike. Hopefully, Noah, we're going to be right on today. You're also going with the 1. You're going 1, 5, 10. JJ's Joker, Sharp and Tyler from the rail.
Yeah, this is a race where I'm definitely going to try to beat the 10. The 10 can very well win, but I think the 1 is very interesting. JJ's Joker kind of gives off a similar vibe to Mr. JT, and where Joe Sharp claimed for 40 and ran him in some really good, really much tougher races. And it's not like he was exactly cold on the board. I mean, he was 5 to 2 up at Oaklawn, and then when he came back at Churchill, he was a little less than 8 to 1. And even though it hasn't really panned out, getting back to much easier. They tried the turf last time, which was a little weird, frankly. But he cuts back to 7. Sometimes after they get a little bit of rain, the rail seems to be a good place to be at Saratoga. So I think Tyler can just kind of ride the rail the whole way, sit off the speed, and maybe make one run in the lane.
Brad, I will say I've not had my coffee, or I don't drink coffee. I have not had my orange juice yet. So I think that might be part of the problem, but I appreciate it. Brad, Terry Franks in the chat. Look what he said. Great Clips gives a great senior discount. Any thoughts about Great Clips, Noah?
No
Any
comment.
plugs?
No comment.
No comment. All right. I like this one a lot. I like JJ's Joker. I think he's going to set a great trip. I agree. Everything you said. I like the drop down to 25 here. It's not some panic kind of drop. I think this horse is very well meant. I know that I have the 9, and we both have the 5, but let's just talk about the 10 real quick. And then we're going to talk about the grade 1s. That's Money. You have this horse 3rd. Let's educate our audience, at least in our opinions. Why do you not like That's Money, who by the figs should win this race?
Yeah, he's been running in much tougher. If he runs his best race, he's right there with some of the main contenders in this group. We've seen it a couple times where Pletcher will make a big drop for 25 just to win here at Saratoga. I know this isn't a Rapoli horse, but we've seen Rapoli do it just to quote unquote get out of a slump or whatever he likes to say. But this is actually a question I had for you, because if this was truly a drop to win, wouldn't one of the Ortiz brothers be on?
Well, Jose riding there today because he was scratched off of
Oh,
Phantom.
yeah,
So,
yeah. But
um,
Irad, no?
yes, I so yes is the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Let me talk about That's Money. Who can win? Okay, if That's Money wins, I'm not going to be surprised. I have this horse as a C on my ABC at best. In fact, I might even toss this horse. Let me explain everyone why, and we'll see who's correct. And later this afternoon. New York bred, right, Noah? Talented, good New York bred, only 3 years old. Last time I checked, Naira gives out a decent amount of money in their New York bred program. There is a lot of money out there. They're giving this horse up for 25, like just like that, Noah. I don't get it. I know LaPenta's got a lot of, Pletcher, they've got a lot of grade ones, etc. I don't understand why they just completely give up on this horse, number one. Number two, where's Irad for Pletcher? Number three, look at the workouts here, Noah. Okay. Was
Yeah, I'm pulling
working
it up right now.
fine, right? June 9th. Okay, worked 2 weeks back, fine, right? Then went to the turf, which I find a little bit weird. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but horses that are a little bit ouchy with their feet, sometimes the trainers will train them on the turf to protect the hooves and whatnot. Okay. Then fine. I see no issues with the workout pattern. July 7th, actually got a decent work on July 7th. In fact, I think he was working. Why do I remember him working with a really good horse?
Yeah, worked with Talk of the Nation, second best wire.
Yeah, this horse it was basically a target for Talk of the Nation on July 7th, right? Then a week later is a very, very slow work. Where has he been in the last month?
Yeah.
If this horse had been working steadily, Noah, I'd probably have him first or second. But the fact that he's missed, in theory, unless he's been on the track and they missed works, which Naira's not that case usually. Unless something nefarious is going on where they missed some works, they didn't record them. Where has this horse been? There's no IRAD. They're completely giving up on a nice 3-year-old who costs 140 for 25. Red flag, caution. No, I just don't. Was that?
I said, wah, wah.
Wah, yeah. Get the siren out. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Look, Chris Couples, very sharp guy. Chris, I feel so much better now. Chris is tossing this horse. The horse can win. This just doesn't feel like a drop in pop. No, this feels more strange to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything. When you look at the works, just on the DRF workout report, working with Talk of the Nation, so it doesn't really look that bad. When you look more into it, the weird kind of work pattern and hasn't been working for almost a month, and it's just strange, very strange.
Yep. I also want to mention the 9, Eric. It's Eric Ridge for Dylan. I know this is a Finger Lakes horse, Noah, but these Finger Lake horses are doing very well. I had the distance suits on the turn back. He absolutely fits. I actually like Eric Ridge quite a bit if the race falls apart, or doesn't need to fall apart. I just like this horse also, and you like the 5 as well. Now let's quickly talk about the grade 1s. Now the grade 1s again are rescheduled. The turf apparently is good, there's no reason why it's not going to continue to dry up. We're not going to go through the whole race, Noah. Literally 1 minute on each one. What are your thoughts on the 4-star Dave?
Yeah, I'm a big Carl Spackler fan in here. I understand, maybe the moisture in the ground might be a little bit of a concern, but I think he's tactical enough. I think we're going to see kind of that breakout performance that we've been waiting to see for him. He was so promising as a 3-year-old. He was a little disappointing in the poker, but he came back with a really nice race. And I thought he put, even though Carl Spackler and Talk of the Nation were battling, I thought he put Talk of the Nation away professionally. And I thought he did it with style. So I'm hoping we get to see that big performance from him. Frankly, I am completely against Oddman Fleet. I understand the numbers fit, but I don't know who the hell he's been facing down at Churchill. I think a mile's too short for him, and he's going to be 6-5 or 7-5. So I think I've got him. I think I've got him and More Than Looks as C's in this race on the grid. So I just don't like the vibe with either one of them. So wow. I'm just kind of leading on Carl Spackler in this spot.
I like it. So you're all about Carl Spackler. I got no problem with that. I love this horse more than looks. Not today though, but I saw this horse in the paddock with Patrick last summer. One of the best looking horses I've ever seen in any paddock. But this horse has been scratched off a few times, and just circumstances are not ideal for more than looks. The Saratoga Derby has changed quite a bit. It is now a field of 6. That's the last race of the day, and it's the last race of the special pick 5. What are your thoughts on this $600,000 Saratoga Derby, the other grade 1, a mile and 3/16 on the Mellon turf course, their outer?
Yeah, a little bit of a bummer that we only get 6 in this race, but at least we get to run on the grass. I think it's probably either between Legend of Time or Deterministic. I just ended up going Deterministic just because I think there's a little more upside. I haven't really loved Legend of Time through his campaign in the States. And I think Deterministic second time on the turf. And I think the added ground will help as well. As long as Rosario I think he's got to stay with the group. I think he's got to be at least mid-pack. I don't think he can let some of these others get away, because Deterministic's one of those where he's got kind of a slow motor. So you kind of got to get him going a little bit earlier.
I completely 100% agree with you. No, I'm not kissing Noah's ass. We just see things the same a lot today. Let's look at the time form real quick. This is a jockey's race, right? I mean, the 2 is going. After that, I would love to see Deterministic where we see him right here on the time form, Noah. People might look at him and say he's slow. I don't think he's slow early. He's not a speed horse, but I think he can be ass if necessary. And so many of these others don't seem to want the lead. I would love for the 6 to be sitting off the 2. He is a bit grindy, so I'm glad it's on the outer, because those tight turns on the inner, Noah, I'm not sure that would suit Deterministic. I mean, he's athletic, but he's not like a push button type, so I prefer him to be on a wider sweeping turn kind of course. This was a power pick play for me last week before things got crazy with the weather. I really don't know what to expect. Legend of Time's going to be 7-5 in this spot. I just don't think he's that good, but he might win anyway because he's going to set a perfect trip with Pratt and Charles Appleby. I'm going to use him as an A, but I really don't want to. Does that make any sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. That's kind of how I feel about the 10 in the last. I think I've got that 10 as an A, but there's no way in hell that I'd ever bet that horse to win or, have as a low A, but just someone that you're scared of. So you kind of want to use to protect yourself. And it'll be interesting to see how people play that race now that there's the pick 5, whether a lot of people want to try to single to Legend of Time, or if you can beat him in the final leg, I think you're really going to get paid out.
I'm going to be spreading. I'll be playing the special pick 5 because Mr. T told me to keep fighting. I am not singling Legend. I'm spreading. I wouldn't. I think almost anyone can win that last race. Yeah, I mean, there's only 5 horses, not exactly 6 horses. Yeah. It's not like other than Izzy, I think almost anyone can win that race. I just don't see anyone that's really standing out. And I agree with you in general on Carl Spackler, although I think Oddman Fleet's pretty good. I think you're giving him a little bit short shrift, although I get it, what you're saying. I do think Oddman Fleet is pretty talented. So Rob N, there you go, likes Royal Majesty as his play. Royal Majesty actually ran pretty well in that previous race. So Noah, we're about that 45-minute mark where I want to end the show. We've got several hundred people, Noah, watching live and listening. We really appreciate it. Again, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Noah, we are over 4,100 subscribers right now on YouTube. We just keep going up and up. It's really exciting. Over close to 2,500 on X. Of course, you can follow X there. Follow Noah on X on his name tag there at Noah Meg right there, MEAG or Ma. I don't know how do we say that if it's just the MEAG part.
Meeg. I don't know.
All right. Anyway, follow Noah there. Noah likes to tweet about or post a bunch of things. He's actually well versed in golf as well. Has golf thoughts and a lot of other thoughts out there. Noah, as we wrap up the show, Colonial's got a big day. You guys covered Colonial. They scratched. You got the million, the Secretariat, the blah, blah, blah. Why don't you give just one quick favorite play at Colonial today for their big card? I know you and the Ben and Boozen boys talked about that on the Wednesday show.
Is it all right if I give a play at Del Mar?
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Throw us a Del Mar play. Sure.
Okay.
Who do you like at Del Mar today?
You're going to have to wait a while because this is the last race on the card. This is 9:28 Eastern. I like the 4 dealer special, Rispoli, Baltus, first time gelding, first time protected, improving with every start and working really well. So 4 in the last.
Morning line odds on that 4 in the last race today?
4-1.
Okay. We've had a lot of success with our last race Del Mar plays.
Oh, yeah.
Except for yesterday, which, well, I wasn't allowed to pick
cheese.
5, but yeah, didn't quite work out very well. Buchero, first time starter, got me on the inside. Noah, been a lot of fun. Really appreciate it. Would love to have you back on Saratoga today. I know you're really busy with the Del Mar stuff, and congrats on your successes with the Del Mar power picks because they've been crushing it in general. It's not easy, as you're starting to find out. You have good days and bad days. Saratoga and Del Mar are the 2 toughest meets of the summer by far.
Yeah, it's actually, I've been fortunate to do pretty well over the first couple weekends. Friday and yesterday have been definitely rough. I know there was a horse or two that both of us liked in a couple races yesterday because you covered for the regular power picks and didn't end up working. But it might just be one of those weekends where you can't really see the ball until that 4 ends up winning the last race. So I'm banking on it.
Well, like Mr. T told us, stay tough, man. Stay with it. Keep trying. Again, the very late pick 4 and very late pick 5. I'm just showing my phone here. This is Twin Spires, but it's a special track. See, second one down is a Saratoga added pick 4 and pick 5. So you have to go to that on your ADWs if you want to bet the very last 4 and very last 5 races, which include the grade 1s. But there is a late pick 5 that we've talked about mainly today here on the show for races 5 through 9. Noah, great job for my good friend and co-host of Bet and Boozin' and West Coast Bias himself, Mr. Noah Maher. This has been your host, Howard Kravitz, for Saratoga today, Sunday, August 11th, the last day of summer for me personally. That's okay. I'm going to crush it and put myself in a better mood. Crush your bets at the spa. Take care, everyone. I pity the fool.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.